Welcome to Athar's Garage. In this video, I'll be unboxing the Yokomo RD 1.0, also known as the Rookie Drift. So I ended up getting the one with the gyro. I'm new to drifting. Our local club just started drifting on the first and third Thursdays of every month, and I was able to try one out and I really enjoyed it. It's relaxing, it's completely different from racing. So I decided to go ahead and get one. And my friend got one too, but he got the MD, which is the Master Drift 1.0. And that one has all the aluminum bits and things like that. I decided to go ahead and get the cheaper offering. So the box is pretty simple, not much information on it. I can't even read the Japanese on it, but on this side it does tell you what you need to complete it. Looks like you need a 2-channel radio system, transmitter, receiver, low profile servo, speed controller, 2S LiPo, charger, motor, body, wheels and tires, and paint for the body itself. So it does not come with the body, so I don't know what body I'm going to use yet. So what we're hoping to do is I've got the Rookie Drift, which, if I'm not mistaken, is pretty much a plastic kit. The MD version is aluminum bits and things like that. My friend got the limited edition red one. So want to do a comparison, and eventually if I end up upgrading something, if I need to upgrade, then we'll be able to document that. But there is one seal on it, so let's go ahead and open that up. So like I said, I'm new to drifting. All the local guys that do drift or have some knowledge basically said get a Yokomo. So I think this is based on one of their older chassis, or YD2Z. But anyway, so this is how everything's packaged. Everything's nice and neat. It looks like there's a screw bag itself, and it tells you, I guess they number each screw and tell you information on what that screw is. So for example, this one is a M3x18 flathead screw. So it looks like, you know, each individual bag is labeled. So for bag 1, there's the screw or the hardware that you'll need. Bag 2, so on and so forth. So it's nice to see that, because the last build that I did, all the screws were in a bag and not labeled. All right, so I'm gonna kind of set the box to the side and see if we can get everything out of the box with the bags that we need in order. All right, so here we go. This is bag 1. Let's see what we got in here. Looks like we've got some of the pinch pin blocks. Looks like we've got some wheel hexes. And here the wheel hexes are plastic. So that's interesting. Everything is plastic, so it's interesting to see. And it looks like maybe the upper deck of the chassis is in here as well. So there's bag 1. So it looks like we have a bunch of other bags. Looks like bag 2, 6, 7, maybe some other bags are in here. So I'm gonna go ahead and open this up so we can get a closer look. All right, so in this one bag, we had, looks like it was bag 2, 2 bag 7s, and a bag 6. So we've got bag 2, which looks like the steering bell crank assembly. And it looks like we have some of the bearings and some of the hardware in here. So, and some of the ball cups. There's bag 2. So bag 6 and 7 were in that larger bag. Let's go ahead and open this larger bag and see what we have in here. So this larger bag has bag 4, 3, 8, 10, 5, 12, and 9. So looks like here's bag 3. Bag 3 looks like the differential. It looks like it's kind of built already, which is kind of nice that it's pre-built, but it does come with 10,000 weight fluid. So there's bag 3. There's bag 4. Bag 4 looks like we've got the motor plate, along with the top shaft and the gear. Looks like we have a pinion as well. So it's kind of cool that they include a pinion because most kits do not. So it looks like we've got the transmission halves and the motor plate. So interesting to see all that. Bearings. It's nice to see that the bearings are not rubber shielded, but metal shielded. Once we open this up and take a closer look, we'll take a look to see if those are grease filled or if they spin freely. If they're grease filled, I might just put them in a sonic cleaner, clean them out, and put a little dab of oil in there. So that way they spin a little bit freer. All right, so that's bag 4. So same in that large bag, we got bag 5. Bag 5 looks like it's just the servo horn. So it comes with 3 different servo horns. And it looks like they're 18.5 millimeters long. So there's bag 5. All right, so bag 6 was in that other large bag. So here's bag 6. Bag 6 looks like we've got our shock towers, front and rear. Interesting, all plastic. It looks like very nice, high quality plastic. Nice injection molding. So here's bag 6. So it looks like bag 7 is in 2 bags. So we've got some hinge pins there, along with some rod ends. Some of the hardware is in here as well, along with some shims. And then this is also bag 7. Looks like the control arms and the turnbuckles, and they're pre-assembled. That is actually very amazing to have the turnbuckles already made. So that's actually pretty cool because most of the time the turnbuckles are not the most rewarding thing to build. So cool that those are already built and ready to go, but we will double check those once we install them to make sure they are built correctly and to the correct length. Bag 8 looks like we have our front stub axles along with our rear axles that are also pre-built. We have, looks like, some hubs front and rear along with metal shielded bearings. And there looks like there's some hardware in here as well. Looks like we have some pins, some nylock nuts for the wheels, and some ball studs. So there's bag 8. Bag 9, some control arms. These look like they might be for the rear, but I'm not 100% sure. They could be for the front. We'll find out when we start going through the manual. Bag 10, the shocks. So it looks like they're plastic bodied shocks, which Nothing wrong with plastic bodied shocks, but it is nice to have aluminum shocks just because they're a little bit more durable. But with the drifting, we will be going at low speeds, so not too worried about them being plastic. Looks like they're bladder shocks. So you have your bladders, your seals, shock collars are in there, along with spacers and everything else we need to build the shocks. So, and then bag 11, looks like there's another large bag, but in this bag is just bag 11. Looks like we've got our rear diffuser. Looks like there's 2 different options for the rear diffusers, along with body posts, yep, there's bag 11, and then bag 12. It looks like maybe this might be a, I have no idea what this could be. Like I said, I'm not too familiar with drift cars, but we'll check to see what bag these items in bag 12 are once we open up the manual. Like I said, I got the kit with the gyro. From what I've heard, it's nearly impossible to drive a drift car without a gyro, so this one's supposed to be pretty good. It's only an extra 50 bucks to get it with the gyro, and I decided why not get the one that comes with the car. So there we go. So bag 14, it looks like we have some tools that come with the car, and the front bumper, along with our 50 weight, not 50 weight, but 50 CST looks like, shock fluid. Kind of hard to tell. There's a pound and a 50. Doesn't say if it's CST or weight, but 50 weight would be very thick, and that does not look thick to me. All right, and that was bag 14. The last 2 items in the box are going to be the manual and the chassis itself. So here's the chassis. It is actually a composite chassis. I'd imagine it might have been made out of aluminum or something, but it is a plastic chassis. So it has some nice flex to it. Has some raised edges in some areas, probably for stiffness, and flex in some other areas. But interesting to see that it has a plastic chassis. Last bit in the box is the manual. So manual at first glance looks underwhelming. Ooh. Some nice stickers to go along with your build if you're a sticker person and you want to have stickers on your body or on your car. So it's nice to have. So supposedly this is a free admission to the Tsukuba RC Arena Drift Park in Japan. So if I end up ever going to Japan, this will get me in for free since I bought this chassis. So kind of cool, but I don't expect to go to Japan anytime soon. So first thing I noticed when I opened this up is that there is a supplementary manual. So it shows that we have the upper rod and suspension arms, the way that they were built compared to what might be in the original manual. But very Kyosho-esque manual in my opinion. Underwhelming in my opinion, as well, considering, you know, it feels like it was just printed on Office Depot paper, just black and white. You know, it's not like it's gloss paper or anything like that. And of course, everything is written in Japanese and in English. Time will tell if the English makes much sense. But at a quick glance, you know, I'll have to go through the supplementary manual, but it looks like we have in this corner here, number 2, steering rod and bell crank assembly. On this page, it's 9, the front bulkhead, rear shock tower assembly. Number 10, or bag 10, front upper arm installation. Bag 11, front suspension arm installation. And number 13, the rear hub carrier assembly. So take a note of that. If you do have a supplementary manual, depending on when and if things change, to go through this information first before you start building the car. That way, when you do start building, you don't come to a stop and you're like, hey, I'm missing this part, or it doesn't line up, or something doesn't fit right. Well, the supplementary manual will probably have that information. All right, so according to the manual, we're gonna need a 1.5 and 2 millimeter hex wrench, a 5.5 and 7 millimeter nut driver, a small screwdriver, which is kind of odd, some scissors, body reamer, some quick drying glue. We have some CA glue, so that'll be fine. Some needle nose pliers, some side cutters, and a hobby knife. So looks like step 1 is going to be the main chassis assembly. Step 2 is going to be the steering rod and bell crank assembly, which we'll have to take a look at the supplementary manual because it has that in there. 3 is going to be the gear diff assembly. It's already assembled, but we're going to have to fill it up with some diff fluid. Interesting way the transmission is installed. Looks like it's kind of a stand-up transmission. And then it goes from 3, 4 is the gearbox assembly, 5 gearbox assembly. Looks like we're going to put the motor plate on here. 6, continuation of the gearbox assembly. Looks like we go ahead and install the motor then as well. 7 will be the servo installation. 8, front shock towers. 9, front bulkhead, rear shock towers. 10, front upper arm installation. 11, front suspension arm installation. 12, the steering block installation. This was bag 12. That doesn't look like anything in bag 12. Check the supplementary manual. I mean, it looks like there's a double-sided tape, and maybe keep an eye out for that. 13 is the rear hub carrier assembly. 14, rear hub carrier installation. And then 15 will be the rear suspension arm installation. 16 front and rear shock assembly. So it looks like these steps are numbered, but they don't correspond to the bag number. So for example, the shock towers are in bag, or the shocks are in bag 10, but the front and rear shock assembly is step 16. So good to note that the bags don't correspond to the actual steps. So step 19, bumper and body post installation. 20, diffuser installation. 21 is the receiver ESC installation. Okay. 22 is the upper deck and battery hold down installation. So these pieces here are the battery hold down. It's kind of interesting design to hold it down like that. I wonder if they just snap in. It doesn't, I don't see any fasteners, but it looks like they might just slide in onto the top to hold the battery in position. And then, so apparently there's a low mount and high mount. The rear brace low mount and rear brace high mount. Because once we get into it, into the build, we'll take a close look at that. All right, so on the back of the manual, we've got an exploded view of the whole car, parts, part name, part numbers, and some pages for some notes. So looks like a pretty simple build. It's nice that a lot of the components are pre-assembled. You know, I saw the front arms are pre-assembled, the turnbuckles are pre-assembled, the diff is pre-assembled. So it's nice to see that some of those items are already assembled and ready to go. We'll just have to double check to make sure they're at the correct length before we make any installations. However, that is the unboxing. I'm pretty excited about this build. It's a little different than what I've done in the past. Most of my recent videos and recent builds have been, you know, race focused, but since you know, I tried out drifting. I enjoyed it. It was relaxing. My wife enjoyed it as well. So I'm hoping we can put together this rookie drift car, make it a pretty inexpensive build, and be able to enjoy it and do some fun drifting and not have to have any stress about racing. So thank you for watching. I really hope you enjoyed the unboxing video. Please like and subscribe if you did. Let me know down in the comments if you have one, if you've built one, if you're excited about drifting, anything about drifting that might be able to be helpful for me or for others. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.